facility. So I think that
The asphalt and actually poured concrete as a driveway coming into the facility. That was done last week. I was out there this morning. It's cured out well enough that people drive on it. They're actually driving on it today, so that was good to see that. The fence around the whole back is complete except for the gate. Talked to Blake Moore, and he's engaging the fence contractor to come in and put the gate up sometime later this week. We got the whole back of it filled with crush and run, and the 2 storage trailers are moved to the back. So they can use that facility as it is. We are working with Poly right now on coming up with a design for the electrical on the inside. So they wanted some outlets around the inside of the building and some lighting, so they can come in with some light switches and turn that on and off. And we're going to look and try and do that in-house, if we can do that in-house. Depending what the final design is, we're supposed to meet with Glenn later this week to finalize those plans. Hopefully have the interior done relatively soon. But Blake has that facility up and running now.
So that will conclude our Q1 goals. Staff is already in the process of looking at Q2 goals as well. We're just a month away from that. One thing that I noticed that we also haven't been doing, and I think we normally wait and start the quarterly work session like an hour earlier for the next quarter. So the first one, I didn't know if we wanted to look at that for, a 4 o'clock meeting for the work session to start at the first meeting in April, or if you wanted to wait a little while longer to discuss that, maybe when more of your colleagues are here. But
yeah, we probably need to get everybody on board with that, but I think it'd be a good idea to try to get that on the agenda as soon as we can. Okay.
Usually at that one, council kind of talks about if there's anything else you'd like to add to the quarterly goals or to the agenda for the staff to consider. So just something that came up when I was going through this the other day. So.
Okay. So that's April 7th. That's the first council.
You said April?
Yeah.
Go say I'm good.
Check my calendar here shortly, but we'll check with everybody.
Yeah.
Make sure it's going to work.
Okay. And that's our quarterly goals.
All right. So we'll review the agenda now. And, so we'll open with roll call, prayer, and pledge of allegiance. Sorry, first day with my new lips today. Approval of agenda, and then we will go through the consent agenda, and we have contract billings, Schmidt Environmental Construction for WWTP Upgrades Project, Poly Inc. for consulting services, wastewater treatment plants, pre-demolition asbestos sampling, city property mapping, Fine Getty Associates for contract services, and then we have travel request. Mr. Tullis, you and I had discussed bringing this maybe before the council about changing the way these, since this goes out to the public.
Yeah, so thank you for bringing that back up for the rest of the council. So one of the things that, I guess there's two facets of this. I think one, we have a workaround by password protecting the PDFs as we upload them to the site. It will verify that it's a human accessing the information. So, with the advent of technology and particularly AI being able to data mine, we felt that if they're not humans, they could, people from outside this area or other countries could be data mining that and using the information that might be personally identifiable in the packets that we upload, whether it's here or Planning Commission or Board of Adjustments, to scam or proliferate illegal activity towards members of the community or developers in our community. So I think we have something that we're going to try on that. The other thing that has been brought to my attention that is sort of, I guess, as long as Beverly's been here, so, 10, 15 years at least, we always put travel requests down, and on the travel request, we list the name of the person, the dates that they'll be going, et cetera. And so, it has the ability to notify people that go through that information when certain personnel are going to be here or not. And we don't think that that's necessarily a good thing. If the council would like us to and would be okay with it, administratively, we were going to pull that information off of it and just basically put the department, the amount of the travel, and basically what the travel is for. I think Councilman Pageant thought that would be acceptable based on the rules of transparency that the council's striving for. But I don't know how the rest of you feel.
No, I feel the same way. That's too much security. Yeah, we need to do it.
I think as long as the dollar amount in the department is on there, then that's transparent enough.
Yeah.
And if they really want to know, they can come down to the city and we'll give them the rest of the information. I'm
Yeah,
assuming.
and typically within the larger packets, a lot of the receipts and reimbursements from the trip are uploaded into the 100 and some odd pages in the document, so they could wait and see who went on the trip after the fact.
Yeah.
So,
I agree with that.
Yeah.
So we're gonna do the name of the or
The department?
Department and the cost.
yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's
Okay.
for safety too. I mean,
yeah.
it's a good idea, whoever thought about it.
You don't want people to know when you're out of town, when your house is open up.
Okay,
Perfect.
Okay, sounds good.
thank you.
Yeah, good.
So then we have a request to dispose of inventory. Presentation certificate, Toys for Tots, to the police department. Mayoral recognition. Enterprise Recreation and Aquatic Center was named ARPA's Outstanding Facility of the Year. And Blake Moore's Professional Year in Recreation. Congratulations, Blake.
Yeah, super.
So we'll congratulate you again officially in the middle of the meeting.
That was by you, Blake, right?
And then we have a request to address the council for the by Aaron Grantham St. Patrick's Day Parade. Do we know of any issues with, I mean, we do it every year. Okay. And then a request to address the council for Oscar Club. And then we'll have privilege of the floor, staff reports, and then we'll go into old business, and we will review and consider bid recommendation for irrigation well multipurpose recreational complex.
Mr. President, so if you remember, end of last year, we received bids for a new irrigation well on the new, PV Park Phase 2, the second phase of PV Park. We have irrigation currently on the 3 fields that were done on the college complex, as well as the 3 that were done on the old PV Park side. Currently, those are tied into the city's drinking water system, so we could get a well installed. We took bids on that into last year. Just to remind you, the total bid came in last year at roughly $862,000. If we took every deduct that we could to get it down within budget, we were still at $760,000, which was well over budget. Worked with Poly Engineering to reproduce some sets of plans, and our recommendation is to come back to award the base bid at the new bid that we just got at $579,378. What that does not include is a building around the electrical controls. They're there, and we plan to do that in-house. We had the materials that were given to us, we bought with the previous bid when we did PD Park. Contractor never built the well, but he did purchase some materials. So we have some materials to build part of the building. So we plan to build the building around the electrical controls in-house using staff to keep this project back within budget. So this gets us back to the original budget and keep this back on track. So it's our recommendation for you, if you seek to move forward, is to award the base bid at that $579,000 number.
And this keeps it within budget?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Any questions? All right. Thank you. And then we have a review and consider bid recommendation for from Barry Mott on behalf of Police Chief Michael Moore for 2 Mitchell Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram for 8 Dodge Durango Police Pursuit vehicles and 1 Dodge Durango GT Plus for $367,160. Okay.
Since Chief Moore is not here, I'll fill in for him. This was a budgeted request for him for those vehicles. These are within the budget for the police vehicles, and we opened up bids, and they were compliant and recommend award to Mitchell for those 9 vehicles.
All right. Any questions on this?
Just for clarification, there's 9 vehicles there. 8 of those were for police cruisers that are there. 1 is to replace the mayor's Tahoe that he's currently driving now. So that 9th vehicle, it will appear like a police vehicle, but it doesn't have all the stuff inside it that a police patrolman's vehicle will have. So appearance-wise, it will be there and be outfitted so that the police can use it, but our plan for the 9th vehicle is to give that to the mayor to drive, and then his current Tahoe will go back into the fleet to be used for staff to use after we de-light it, take all the police lights off of that, but we will use that back for a staff vehicle to be used at City Hall.
All right. Thank you.
Sorry for that clarification.
And then we have a request to authorize mayor to execute task order number 3 with Ardura for engineering and technical services associated with College Street wastewater treatment plant.
Yes, sir. If you remember in the work session, one of the requests that we had in for Public Works budget was to figure out what to do with College Street wastewater treatment plant, which was one of our oldest plants in the city and also has the potential of being one that is probably going to experience a good bit of growth on that side of town. All the southern and western part of the circle, the undeveloped parts of the circle, all feed to that wastewater treatment plant at College Street. So currently that plant's about a 1.2 million gallon per day plant. Hydraulically, we looked at it. We think about 1 million gallons per day is about what we can push through there, and we're seeing 700 to 800,000 gallons per day now currently. So we're about 70-80% of what we feel comfortable is capacity. So one of the requests was to do a 30% design on that plant, which is look at the current conditions, look at the site that's there, do enough engineering to determine what the total build out of that part of the city within the city limits would be, what size the plant should be sized for, do enough that we can do permitting through the state to find out what the state would allow us to do for permitting, and then also start a GIS system for that side of the circle and go ahead and start doing this the right way that we can build upon that in the future. So all that was within the budget amount that we had in our contract, $350,000 to get that 30% design.
All right. Thank you. And then a request to purchase equipment for Parks and Rec. I don't even know what a robotic scrubber and dryer is.
Evening, Council. So this is a budgeted item, something we talked about in our strategic planning session a couple weeks back. And anyways, I would say probably this past summer, myself and Jonathan and Leanne had the opportunity to watch a demo there in our gym of these robotic scrubbers and sweepers, and just efficiency and, as far as finding people to clean and showing up to work, it seems like these do the job. And just kind of a couple facts on them. 4-hour charge time on them, and then anywhere from an 8 to 13-hour runtime off the charger, covering the scrubber and dryer basically cover a little over 27,000 feet per hour, and then the vacuum and sweeper cover a little over 21,000 feet per hour. Go back into a docking station. Basically, you map it out, and they take off on their own. They've got sensors on them. So we tested that. If you walk out in front of it, it stops. So it doesn't, if there's people out there or anything like that, it kind of has a mind of its own there as far as stopping. But 2-year warranty on the parts, and that's minus your scrubber pads and squeegees and things like that. But
Sounds like a giant Roomba.
pretty much, you could call it that. But a lot of school systems are going to this. I got off the phone with Enterprise Paper and Janitorial today on it. They just left a school system. They're looking at a couple places in our area are looking at them as well. So I think this would be a great opportunity to jump on this and efficiently, clean our facility.
You said 2-year warranty?
2-year warranty, yes, ma'am.
All right, any questions?
No, is there plans to use that up here too, or strictly at the rec center
Use it where?
here?
Right now, just at the rec center,
Yeah.
but we can look at that.
And then we have a request to seek bids for the 2025 TAP sidewalk project.
So this is the TAP sidewalk project for Bellwood Avenue. So Glenn has submitted in a set of plans to AlDOT. We've got those comments back, and we're ready to go to bid any day. And Glenn and I looked back, and we never asked for permission to go to bid. So this was just to make sure, for transparency purposes, we came to you and got your permission to seek bids for the sidewalk project. Once those bids are secured, we'll bring it back to you for award.
All right, thank you. Any questions on this? And then we will call for a motion to set a public hearing for March 3rd, 2026 at 6 p.m. on the matter of issuing a temporary business license for Enterprise Metals and Recycling located at 930 Bellwood Road. Is there anything we need to know about this tonight?
No, sir, this is just a call for the hearing to be held on the dates you've got.
Okay. And then we'll have mayor's report, council member comments, and adjournment. All right, Mr. Tullis, I think you're next up.
Mayor and council members, you'll see it says potential 772. We had discussed this in executive session at our last council meeting. We had a request from a developer that's looking to redevelop the former Rite Aid Family Dollar property on the corner there of Bypass and Rucker Boulevard. You've all had a chance to review, I assume, the document that was given to you in executive session. Basically, just want to make sure that if everybody is comfortable with that or had any questions about that, it would be my intent to push that forward onto the next council agenda, unless there's any, further discussion or changes that the council would like to see.
And just for clarification, the developer is still wanting to keep that actual project kind of under wraps until they make it public, or?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So in order, and this is not atypical, in order for them to get the development done and have an agreement with the company or companies they're looking to bring in, they would need to know that our agreement with them would be executed. So they would like to do it, and of course, we'll have to advertise, public notice, all that stuff. It won't reference specifics of the company or companies, but it will reference all of the incentive or potential incentive that would be. All of that is performance-based, so in other words, no tax dollars that the project doesn't generate would be given to them.
So no money up front, no
That's right. And it's not quite like this, but it would equate to about a 50-50 split of sales tax generated from the project for a period of time. Not to exceed 10 years, I believe is what the document said. But I don't have that in front of me. So,
And that's the number that's being worked on, right? The term, the length?
it is, but they're pretty adamant about that.
It
So,
is, but, you know, we set some criteria that basically that on the last council term, obviously, we can change that. But we set criteria on the last council term that basically gave the mayor's office pretty much free rein within those boundaries to negotiate to the point that we approve. Within, it still has to come for us for approval, but they can get a long way without having to constantly come back and forth, back and forth. Well, this was out of the boundary. But, you know, if anyone has any heartburn over that, we can definitely have that discussion. But I think based on the fact that it checks a number of boxes for that area that we've been trying to hit, I'm personally willing to take a much broader look at that than we would on.
And to refresh the
Other-
council, I know we have a new member since we've talked about that, but there were three predominant areas that the council and you know, we at some point can decide if those are still the three areas or there need to be more. But along Rucker Boulevard for redevelopment purposes, downtown and the southern bypass were the three areas of enterprise that that the council agreed in the last term to say, hey, these are areas we would consider economic development incentive packages to make things happen for a variety of reasons. Redevelopment on Rucker Boulevard and downtown, clean up blight, fill vacancies that existed at the time. I think at that time, JCPenney's was gone. The Builders Cash and Carry was a vacant property. Rite Aid and Office Depot were all vacant. And so, and now subsequently, we've got a draft at least of our Rucker Boulevard plan. And so one of the things that I liked within the agreement was that the developer agreed to follow our Rucker Boulevard plan, or at least the draft of it, to incorporate sidewalks and landscaping into his project. So, or their project. But anyway, it is outside those parameters. I think existed along the terms of about 5 years, and 50% of the sales tax generated by the project for a period of 5 years, and or a certain dollar amount. This would exceed that 5-year. That's the substantive change that is why I brought it back to the council and said, hey, you know, this is something that's one-off, but it meets our leakage needs. You know, we don't sell enough of the products that this developer would be looking at bringing in. And if the project fails after a year, they get nothing. If it fails after 5 years, they get nothing. And they're not guaranteed to get anything except what the project generates.
I much prefer those agreements because we've seen some of them that came in with grand promises that didn't follow through, and so we didn't end up having to give anything out. So.
Never really heard back from someone.
Okay.
All right, any questions on that?
The next item, it says Bates Stadium. So we talked a little bit in executive session. I think that the other party, which would be Hillcrest Baptist Church, would present this to them. So nothing's before you to vote on, but as I understand it, Hillcrest Baptist Church will introduce this thought to their congregation at some point in the near future. You'll see an amended agreement, and I would just say that the number of years has changed, and that's really the only change from the last time. to 8 years. That was something the church felt comfortable with, and consultation with our city attorney felt was, okay from a legal perspective. We spend about somewhere north of $100,000 a year on maintenance of Bates Stadium. The city actually uses it, city proper, 6 or fewer times throughout the course of the year for that. But we maintain it, and obviously we're fixing a $600,000 or more drainage issue right now that collapsed part of Henderson Street as a result of that. The city had contacted the school system to see if they had any interest, since that's where we got the stadium from. They had no interest in taking ownership of the facility, nor did the Enterprise State Community College. And so with the new soccer fields and football fields that were built over at PV Park in that area, and we now have 6 multi-purpose fields where we can host, football, soccer, whatever those are. It doesn't make a lot of sense for the city to continue to maintain additional properties that we're not getting a lot of use out of. And so we then reached out to some of the churches that we had longstanding relationships with. The first was Hillcrest Baptist in that area. They have an agreement right now for parking. And so I know that's a huge need for their congregation. And so we had talked about how to renew that. And in those discussions, it was asked, would there be an appetite to just take over the entire property? And for those 8 years, the city there would be no change in the status, other than Hillcrest would be responsible to maintain the property. But if the city had an event that didn't conflict with church values, we could use it, which, that should never happen, right? And so additionally, when they need to utilize the parking spaces, or at some point in the future, they're going to need to resurface the parking lot, that would be on the church at that point, because they're getting a disproportionate amount of use out of the facility than we are right now. They felt like it was a win-win for them, but obviously they have a procedure, just like we would as a city, to divest ourselves of that property. They would have to go through a similar procedure to find out if there's an appetite within the congregation to take ownership of that. So I have that updated agreement in your packet. If there's no objections to it, we would, our timeline would be at the next council meeting. We would potentially introduce this and declare it surplus property pending approval from Hillcrest Baptist. If they did not approve it, there would be no reason to declare it surplus property. So, but I did want to get this out in the public setting after talking to Councilman Padgett, because I anticipate maybe as early as this weekend, this being introduced with the congregation. Hillcrest has a very large congregation, so I would assume this would get out into public, discourse at some point. So that's why it's coming before you now at the work session, so that, in full transparency, that the public understands that, we're just talking through this right now. There's been no decisions that have been made.
Any questions? All right. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
So I'd like to take the next little bit and talk a little bit about technology. I've had a desire since I was first elected to the council over 5 years ago to improve the technology of our city. And while we've seen some slight improvements, it's nowhere near what my vision was. And I know we just had our planning meeting in January, and there were some things that were brought up in that meeting. I wish I had pressed a little bit more, but we had a meeting facilitator there that was keeping us on task and on agenda. So try not to get in there way too much, but I feel like that our technology of the city is not progressing like it really should. And I don't really want to, say that's any one particular person or department or even entity's fault. But it's just a conglomeration of things. We've had some issues with software technology providers. We've had some issues with various departments and having staff turnover and trying to get long-term issues fixed and resolved in those departments to be even ready to make any moves. And so I understand there's been a lot of things that have been having to take place. And did you have something? Or you just
No, sir.
Okay, just waiting. All right. So there's a lot of things that had to take place, but I feel like at this point that our staff that we have has done a really good job of getting a lot of stuff fixed at City Hall, and then we were renovating City Hall, so you didn't want to bringing up people too much to everything at one time. So I was willing to be patient while we worked through the major projects of a new rec center and a new City Hall renovation and things. But now I don't want it to be another 3, 4, 5, 10, 15 years before we see major improvements in technology. And so I've had a number of discussions with our MSP that provides the technical assistance to the city. And, I don't want to spend a lot of time going through a lot of history, but, one of the biggest bottlenecks that I have found being in the technology world and even talking to Jeremy is non-technical decision makers. They don't really understand the need. They don't understand how to get there. You start presenting them with things that really needs to happen, and they just kind of go, going almost into a daze because they don't have any idea what you're talking about, and it's difficult to make a non-technical person understand. And I think a lot of the decisions were put into the lap of non-technical people for many, 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 many years, just because that was the nature of who we were electing and who we were putting in various positions. Not being negative at all on that. It's just facts. And I think another big bottleneck has been our software provider. It seems like every time that I have personally been able to be on a phone call with Jeremy, and I know I was on one with Leanne, and we even did some tours around looking at some various ideas and concepts of what we could do, and all of the things we thought were going to put into place, it's always, they're not ready yet. They don't have this piece ready. They don't have that piece ready. I did a little lookup on Tyler Technology, who I think is our main software provider.
Yes, sir.
They have a net promoter score of -40. They have a customer service rating of 2.3 out of 5. While they are a near monopoly on the public sector, there's a lot of people that are, frustrated with them. They boast a 98% client retention, but I think that really a lot of times talks to how difficult it is to leave a software than really satisfaction. I know from business experience that it's very costly and very time-consuming to change platforms. It is, I've seen companies spend well over $1 million and take over 2 years to make that process happen. So that 98% retention rate that they give is not necessarily that they're doing a great job. It's just it's difficult to change. And, just looking at a couple of different things, so I've just not been happy with the progress that Tyler Technology has made. There were 3 Tyler contracts in Cook County, Illinois, that was projected at $75 million, ended up costing $250 million. They were 5 years behind schedule. Bexar County, Texas, they rolled out a court system that caused people unable to leave jail for days despite paying bond because their case throughput dropped from 60 to, despite paying bond. And so when they made some changes, their case throughput dropped from 60 to, with Tyler Technology, dropped from 60 to 70 a day to 30 a day. And so it slowed it way down on their system. And I could go on and on and on and on and on about this, but Key Biscayne, Florida terminated their Tyler contract for online permitting after 3 years of trying to make it work. Online permitting is one of the things that we're constantly hearing that Tyler doesn't have fixed yet. Hollywood, Florida terminated Tyler contract for permitting issues. Miami Beach, Florida Commission created a task force to document unresolved issues, threatened termination. St. Pete Beach, Florida replaced Tyler with Central Square because of a lot of these things. And I have just pages and pages and pages of documentation of issues that many cities have faced with Tyler Technology. And those that have decided to face it head on have started winning awards for being a digital city and the most digital friendly city. And so I would like not necessarily to fix it tonight, but to get the conversation started as to what we need to do and kind of maybe work with this council to put together a plan of where do we really want to be. I know where I'd like to be, but I'm one of five, so I don't want to, run the whole show here. But, just some simple things that I would love to see. I'd love to see a better app than what we have. I'd love to see an app that we could, from the app, I'd love to be able to, report an issue in the city, a pothole, take a picture of it, get GPS coordinates that go in. The city be able to have that. It open a ticket up. When the ticket gets responded to, I get information back saying, hey, someone actually is going to look at this. We saw this. We understand this. It didn't just disappear into the never land. And we don't have anything like that in our city right now. Phone calls are made, and it just, you don't really know if things get worked on. And then you happen to drive through town and, oh, well, they did fix that. And so there's a number of things that I would love to see. I was hoping that we'd be able to renew our business license online this year. I attempted to renew 3 business licenses personally myself and could not do that, and made a phone call down and found out that no, you can't do that. I could send in paperwork, documentation, whatever it was, and then get a link to pay it if I wanted to, but I couldn't actually do the entire process online. And I could go through department after department after department of things that I would love to see. Once again, not trying to fix it tonight. I just want to get the conversation reignited that we have had a few times through the few years that we put all on hold for all the major projects that we've had going on. But I will say that me personally, understanding how difficult and how big of a task this is, I would be perfectly willing to take a long, hard look at when we figure out where we want to be, bringing in a third-party company that does, project management, because I know that project management is a huge thing. You can't do your job day to day and manage a project of what scope that I'm talking about. Bringing in people to help with data entry if that's required, because you can't expect everyone to get their job done and still work on getting data entered into a system that, maybe a new system or whatever we decide we're going to do. So that's kind of my initial thoughts here. I've got probably 10 pages of stuff here that we don't have time for me to go through. And I know some of you may have some comments. I know Mr. Walls is a IT professional himself, and I'm sure he's itching to say a few things. But and I would like to continue this conversation when Casey Mack is back, because he's also involved in technology. So this is not one bit a negative on anybody, any entity, with exception of Tyler Technologies, because I'm not happy with their lack of progress. But you know, if the back end works good, maybe there's things that we can piece on top of it to make it work better. But, you know, there's ways to get to where we want to be, and you know, there's cities that I see that have, you know, switched to things like OpenGov and different ones, and I don't know how good they are either, that were able to get their full business license totally automated online in within 3 to 6 months. So that there's ways to get it done. Tyler may just not be the way.
Yeah. Just from the staff's perspective, I'd say that's probably a fair assessment. You know, when we looked at this a couple years ago, we just went through a Munis upgrade, which is a division of Tyler, which houses our financial platform, which works great. You know, we don't have a lot of issues with that platform. But we were also paying for a lot of other bells and whistles within that program. So a lot of the things that, you know, we're not lying to you, the system should do that. It should do work orders, right? And be able to get a ticket out. You know, it should be able to do business licenses online. And in fact, we were briefed that when we did this upgrade, if we had this add-on, it would do that. But then we get it, and then it says, not yet. We have that update coming in the future. And every time we get there, it's like, well, maybe another few months, and then we'll have it. And so, you know, there have been a lot of frustrations with Tyler on that. So much so that recently we have looked at our HR platform with doing a separate IT solution for that. And I think Councilman Walls was involved in some of those discussions early on, especially when you and Councilman Mack were in process. You were like, man, this doesn't seem efficient, and it's not. But we've been trying to work within the confines of the system so that we can keep as much integrity as we can through the system and deliver something that the taxpayers are already paying for, right? Why go out and spend $50,000 or $100,000 on a new system if your system's supposed to support it? But it has not, and it has been slow and laborious.
Well, I know we've been having this discussion for 5 years, and
Yep.
it doesn't seem like any of their, and I mean, I just read some reports of people being 5 years behind, you know,
Yeah.
because of Tyler.
That would fit with, we've also gone away from the court had a similar situation with doing that. We left that, court went with a different option. And we threatened litigation against the company. But that being said, I did ask Jeremy Nagy with M4 to be here tonight to maybe give you a flavor of kind of where we're at and what we're currently working on, and if there is a timeline there that is acceptable. And if there's not, you know, you'll have complete staff support to pursue other platforms or add-ons to try to integrate this. I mean, we want it. This saves us time across each department. It makes it easier for customers to do business with the city, which is what we want. So, I mean, you know, if we have the funding in place to do it, you know, we're more than happy to explore other options. But,
Yeah. Well, I know some of the things that we started talking to Tyler about, and I was on those phone conversations. We wanted everything. We wanted someone to be able to use a cell phone and practically do anything that they could do down at City Hall, or a kiosk that we could put at places like Alabama Power. We could put at the library. We could put in various places where they could pay their water bill. They could pay their traffic ticket. They could pay all these kind of things. And then we get back after, you know, getting all gung-ho about it. We get on the phone with Tyler, and they just kind of squash everything because it's not ready yet. It's not ready yet. It's not ready yet. And here we are 5 years later, and it's still not ready yet on a lot of those pieces.
Yeah.
So,
If I can I add? Can I add
Yep.
a couple things?
Yep.
So, as a new council person, I could easily, when I see a problem, I guess I could call Jonathan and say, hey, here's a problem. But I purposely have gone through what everybody else would go through. I had a water issue at my home. I called the water department, and I looked up on Google the phone number, called, went through the process. There was a pothole on my street, did the same thing. Those things cost a couple of issues. One is water department with staffing. You know, if you're having to answer the phone for everybody that has a problem at their home, if it's not an emergency, hey, can you take a look at this meter or whatever, you're having to have somebody answer a phone. So using technology in ways that you can pay a bill, report an issue, you can buy service, you can disconnect service, you can basically, you know, we're talking about improving our Main Street, Rucker Boulevard, and the South Side. We really need to improve our digital side and the way that our city conducts business. There's a foundational part of that too. If I'm going to pay my bill or connect an app to a database that has sensitive information, it's vital that our city, and we may be doing it, but it's vital that our city has an annual cybersecurity, third-party cybersecurity company come in and do an assessment of what that is. Because if we do a march towards digital connectivity and convenience, and it's not secure, we could be compromising the data that our citizens have, and we don't want to push forward connectivity without having the security piece from a third party. Nothing against our operational side, but a third party to assess where our standing is on that. So making sure. Go ahead.
So just to understand that, I had a conversation with Councilman Padgett about that, but just trying to make sure that we're speaking the same language. So our operational side being M4, somebody that's doing the day-to-day,
That's right.
fixing issues that go on.
That's right.
We don't have a lot of issues there.
That's good.
Okay, we have a third party, being not M4, that helps us out with cybersecurity, a program called Arctic Wolf, and so. But what you're particularly talking about is somebody that's not either one of those parties, disinterested party.
That's correct.
That comes in and does an assessment, right?
That's right.
So
You don't use a security company to gauge how secure you are. The security vendor that you're buying, use a different vendor to gauge, and that vendor ideally would also come to the facility so they can judge physical security risks along with digital security risks.
Okay.
So it shouldn't be anybody that has a stake in that we're paying monthly right now. It should be a third party. What that does for your operational team is it provides feedback on, not that they're doing good or bad, but it just provides feedback on, hey, this is some more work that we need to have done. This is critical and this is non-critical. I'm in IT, I work in IT, and some of our premier clients, they do that with us. They have a third party, and they come through and they do an assessment. And all that does is ensures that I'm not looking for a pat on the back, but we're looking for, hey, what did we overlook? Where is our knowledge gap at? Where are our vendors? We had a software vendor that had a bill pay server that had a vulnerability in it, and they didn't disclose. And a cyber company found that for us. So, if we're talking about paying bills online and getting access to on-prem servers or web servers, we got to make sure that all of that's secure. And I'm not the guy looking at it, so I would feel comfortable with a third party, that somebody that does this for a living, do an assessment. So foundational. The end goal, though, is connectivity. And I was excited when I heard the Water Board was getting iPads. My mind is blown that it's paper. They've been doing it on paper, and work orders are going out on paper. And if I've got a guy in the field and he's got to go somewhere else, he's got to drive back to a central location and pick up a new piece of paper and then go. So having digital work orders, and that the customer too can see, hey, my issue is not just been lost to oblivion, but I can see a digital update that they're looking at it, or it's scheduled. It's common in my industry to have a ticketing system. It's very common, and I think that's kind of what Greg is kind of alluding to on the service side, is just basically increasing the availability of communication in the way that we handle issues in the city.
It's good, like I said, it's good for the taxpayer and our customers. It's good for employees, because we have a lot of other work that we get dragged away from to respond to calls, and oftentimes maybe that person has an issue, but they don't know where it is, and maybe they call you. And now you've also reiterated that to staff. And so we might spend 5 or 10 different phone calls about the same issue.
That's right.
But it
Giving
seems,
updates.
seems like what we're missing, though, is a roadmap with milestones. That's what we need. On anything that we're going to do, we need a plan, and that plan needs to have a roadmap and milestones attached to it.
Okay.
We do really good with our quarterly stuff here, the visions. We do really good with that. But outside of a meeting I had 2 months ago in a water board that says, hey, you know, we're going to be able to check your bill eventually, but half of it's not worth, that's the last I heard of it.
Yeah.
There's no roadmap, no milestones, no timeline. We need to get on that.
Okay.
One of the things, I'm not an IT person, but I do see the value of our city being technology savvy. And it's funny that Councilman Walt said, get us a plan, because that's one of the things I notated here. You know, like, we're talking about a lot of these things. I'm trying to refresh memory of, you know, things with Tyler. And so one of the things, if we're going to have this conversation, that's one thing I said, you know, get us a plan. Get us something that would show our direct flaws with Tyler that are the most detrimental at this juncture, or even a plan to dissolve the relationship if that's the case. But Councilman Paget mentioned about having a discussion, so I would like to see us have a work set, you know,
Absolutely.
something
That's
dedicated
really-
to
that's
this,
really
so that
what
we're
I'm-
just not throwing this stuff. And because I'm a writer type of person, retainer, I want to see kind of even what Councilman Paget, his 10 pages, if you wouldn't mind sending that to us or something like that. And let's have a transparent conversation between us, between all of us, so we know exactly what our problems are directly, day to day. It's been so long about this. I don't have a business, you know, so that's one of the things I don't do with City Hall is obtain a business license. And I remember us talking about this, that was something that was going to be attainable. That's crazy that there's just some stuff is just backwards. And I agree. I'm not an IT person, but we don't want to be going this way. We want to go going forward. We're the city of progress. So it's just like you saying, we're doing all these other things. Making stuff easy and accessible is just key. When people are not frustrated, that's just a plus. So I don't know what the plan is
Well,
for it,
that's
but
really what I wanted to introduce it for tonight, was to sort of get that juices flowing in our head, figure out where our problems are, where we want to go, and then set a time very soon for a work session that is 100% surrounded around kind of gelling this together. And, you know, obviously bringing our IT provider into the conversation and making sure that we're understanding where we are on some of these, because, you know, that's every time I've been in those conversations, it's just been a bottleneck of Tyler. So.
Yeah. And I like to say, I agree. What we need to do, because I use a lot of technology in some of the stuff I have online. I can fly helicopters. I'm not an IT person. We got 3 experts up here, but I'm willing to learn. And I've heard from a lot of folks saying, well, why can't we do this easier this way, that way?
Yeah.
So having a work session,
Well,
I think.
I'll just say and I know, give Jeremy a second here, because I don't want to take the last 5 minutes that we have. But, you know, what I've heard is that Munis does a good job for you guys. And so I'm not saying let's go rip Munis out, but there may be some things we could layer on there. I know some of the cities have labored like Civic Plus because they have integrations into Tyler, OpenGov. Just I could go on and on and on, but just the problems that we're having out of Tyler, like maybe we just have to cut that piece out and get something else. But I'll shut up unless you have a minute.
Good evening, everybody. Sorry, I just have a brief minute here, but what I was basically going to say this evening was that, you know, we feel the same way about Tyler. They have really dragged their heels on all this. You know, looking back historically, we started some of these projects with resident access and utility access, which is the new online payment system. We actually started those a full year ago this month, and you know, obviously those should have been implemented months ago at this point. So, you know, I was really coming to kind of say some of the same stuff that you said about how it really is Tyler. But the bottom line is we just recently went through, you know, trying to use the Tyler HR module. And that went rather poorly, so we ended up having to ask them for a refund for it, and we're going with a different, third-party payroll system now. And in the process of doing all that, we really got their attention. Jonathan was able to get a couple of the higher-ups from Tyler Technologies on a call. We were able to kind of explain some of our frustrations, not just with the payroll module, but kind of everything as a whole. And we have a brand-new account rep now with Tyler Technologies, and she is actually going to be coming here in Alabama to Enterprise in March. And she, I don't know that she'd love to come talk with you guys, but we'll get her
Well, I
to
would
come
love
and
to
talk.
meet.
Yeah, we'll get her to come and talk with you guys, and that way maybe they can help answer some of those frustrations that we have about Tyler Technologies, themselves. And we can try to get kind of a deadline or a plan together at that point. But I have been talking with her over the last week or so, and we've got kind of a list of exactly what we need to do to get you to your goals right now if we choose to go with Tyler. We are also actively pursuing alternatives for permitting and inspections, as well as the online presence with like a 311 system or work order system and all. So we are looking at 3 providers for those as we speak, one of which, of course, being Tyler because of the integrations.
Sure.
But we're looking at multiple options there. And, one of the best options may end up being kind of a stepping stone where we deploy something that's easy to launch now that maybe doesn't check every box, but, can at least handle some of the 311 requests and all, and then look at a permanent solution with Tyler, a few years down the road when we can get something like that, fully implemented.
Quick question, IT people. Councilman Paget, you said we're talking with Tyler that said it's not ready. Are you talking about like a layer of software? When you referenced, you said we thought we were ready. Like, for instance, we're thinking we're here, and then we say, well, it's not
Well,
ready yet. Is that what?
If
that
I could,
it
so
is-
specifically, like one of the options right now is you can technically renew your business license online, but all you can really do right now is pay for it. We were told a full year ago that you would be able to apply for a business license online. You would be able to upload your gross receipts from your prior year so that it calculates your current year business license, and you would, of course, be able to pay for it. And as recently as September, that was not only not possible, but they didn't even have an ETA for it. Now, they're saying today that there may actually be an option to enable that very soon, but as
After
recently
the
as
fact,
September, there wasn't even an ETA for that. And of course, now they're saying it's available after renewal season. So that's really kind of too little too late. But that's what he was talking about really was, a lot of times we're ready to do something. They tell us that something's ready, and then they come in after the fact and say, oh, it's not ready yet. Or the worst thing that they do is they'll say, it's ready yet, but you owe us a lot more money. You have to buy an additional module or something like that. And, to Councilman Gregg's earlier point, how sometimes they go over budget and all, that's the reason why.
I guess the question I have is, who's showrunning, who's overseeing these modules? Like, I don't have a roadmap in front of me that says these modules are working towards doing these things and these are our milestones on this timeline. So in software development, I'm used to seeing milestones, timelines, things that we're trying to, features that are going to be added in. Right now, it just looks like, well, we're working on this, or we haven't worked on this, or we had this roadblock. There's nothing similar to this page right here with our quarterly. First quarter, we're going to have these features on. Second quarter, we're going to have these features online. Third quarter, we're going to have, I don't see any coherent plan with milestones and timelines developed. Does that not exist right now?
So Tyler Technologies has a project manager assigned to this entire project right now. So it's, the one project manager, Michael, I believe is his name, he actually is handling everything we're trying to do with our online presence right now with Tyler Tech.
So he has that information.
On our end. So primarily, he's been reaching out to me and Leanne and Jonathan right now in our email threads.
So we just
But-
might need to develop a coherent strategy and push them into saying.
And I think one of the biggest things for our new account rep right now is going to be to get her caught up on, how far behind everything is and, make them stick to their original plans
Can
and
we,
timelines
I know we're
and all
going into
that.
city council, can we just get that in front of us, what the milestones and timeline is, since the project manager, Tyler, has it? And that way we have that information.
I'll get that.
We're definitely going to have to continue this conversation because
Yeah.
it's,
Yeah,
this was
sorry.
more of just to kind of get us in the mood for the conversation later, so.
Sure.
Nothing, this is not from my perspective, nothing negative whatsoever, just let's do what we got to do to get the ball rolling, so.
Yeah, sounds good. Thank you, guys.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we are going to convene our regular session of the City Council. All members, with the exception of Councilman Mack, are present, and we will begin with our opening prayer and Pledge of Allegiance. I believe we have Pastor Eric Bradley here for prayer. If you could stand, please.
Now let's pray. Father, I thank you for tonight. And I thank you for how you love us and how you care for us and how you sacrifice everything for us. Tonight I just pray for this council that serves our city so well. Thank you for their leadership, but not only their leadership, but the families who support them as well as they spend time and energy away from family to move the city forward. And I pray that you would pour out your favor on their homes, that you would bless their spouses and kids, that you would let their houses be places of peace and rest. And God, tonight I pray for our city, and our city's hurting. We're grieved, we're confused with the missing of this precious baby. And God, tonight I just pray that you would sustain these leaders and our emergency personnel, the investigators who are carrying such extreme weight during this moment that no person can bear on their own. And I pray that when the pressure seems overwhelming, when the answers feel out of reach, God, I pray that you would grant them wisdom. I pray you would grant them clarity and endurance through the whole process. God, I pray that you would surround them with your peace and remind them that they're not alone. God, I pray that your protection and favor and compassion would rest over our city. I pray that you would bring light into dark places, that you would bring hope back into fear. And God, I pray that you would bring healing into every hurting heart tonight. God, we thank you for listening to us, that your word says we can come boldly to your throne and ask these things. So God, I thank you for hearing us and hearing our hearts. And God, I thank you for working and moving even when we don't see it right in front of us. And I thank you for this council. Again, tonight I pray a blessing over this meeting and the ways that they're moving our city forward in leaps and bounds. God, I thank you for their families and pray a blessing over them again. And it's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Join with the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic with which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. I call for a motion to approve the agenda of the meeting as submitted.
I move to approve the agenda of the meeting as submitted.
Second.
All right. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. We will now, all matters listed within the consent agenda have been distributed to each member of the council for review, are considered to be routine, and will be enacted by one motion of the city council with no separate discussion. If separate discussion is desired on an item, that item may be removed from the consent agenda and placed on the regular agenda by request of a member of the city council. I call for a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, we have James Bonnet here. All right. Representing Toys for Tots is going to present a certificate of appreciation.
Hey, thank you very much. As the councilman said, my name is James Bonnet with Toys for Tots Foundation. I'm looking at my phone because I'm going to bring up some numbers I'll have to recall here in just a moment. But the Toys for Tots Foundation has 900 chapters within the United States. I'm the coordinator for one in the Wiregrass area. And with that, you know, we collect and distribute toys to economically disadvantaged children within the Wiregrass area. We cannot do that without the support of the community. Now, I am here to present something to Police Chief Moore or another representative. I'm there. Very good. I'll wait till gentleman gets up here. Again, it's a big lift within the community. I have a small group of volunteers, so I do partnerships. And this year, we partnered with the Enterprise Police Department. One of my core volunteers is a detective on Chief Moore's force. And he said, you know what? And he had some great ideas. Helped us collect 2,875 toys within the Enterprise area itself, and that went to 807 children among 345 families. So the partnership with the police department, notably a Battle of the Badges event at Ollie's, which will go down as of right now as the largest toy drive we've done since I've been a part of it in the last 6 years. So that's fantastic. But everything from the public relations office helping me, with social media, to volunteers just helping when I could. So Chief Moore, I just wanted to present this to you, sir. I'm grateful for your support.
Thank you very much.
Mayor, if you want to come in, sir. And council, if you don't mind.
All right. Mayor is going to recognize Enterprise Parks and Recreation Department on 2 awards.
Tonight, it is my honor to recognize 2 very special achievements for the City of Enterprise and our Parks and Recreation Department. At the 2025 State Conference of Alabama Recreation and Parks Association, our city received 2 statewide awards. First, the Enterprise Recreation and Aquatic Center was named Outstanding Facility of the Year for cities our size. Second, our own Blake Moore was named Professional of the Year in Recreation. Those are significant honors, and they did not happen by accident. The Enterprise Recreation and Aquatic Center represents one of the largest investments in quality of life of our city's history. This facility was built to meet a long-standing need in our community. It includes courts for basketball, pickleball, volleyball, renovated gym space, strength and cardio rooms, and a beautiful aquatic area. In its first year alone, the facility welcomed more than 30,000 visitors and hosted the 2025 state volleyball tournament, which set a participation record. That tells us that something is very, very important. This facility is not just a building, it is a gathering place. It is a place for families, a place for young athletes, for seniors, and for visitors from across our region. None of this would have been possible without the teamwork. I want to thank our city council, our city staff, our partners, and everyone who helped bring this vision to life. And I especially want to recognize Blake Moore. Blake has served since 2016. Under his leadership, we have expanded programs, strengthened our partnership, and successfully transitioned into this new recreation complex. These awards reflect more than bricks and mortar. They reflect dedication, vision, and a belief that investing in our people matters. Please join me in congratulating our Parks and Recreation team and Blake Moore for bringing this recognition home to Enterprise, Alabama. Blake.
Mayor, before we take a picture here, I have a few words to say. I'm not going to preach, Miss Sonia. But I'm very humbled by the award that I received. But tonight's not about me. It's about these men and women. Y'all come up here to the front. So what makes a facility of the year? And it's the people, number one, that work inside of it. And these men and women are special. Since day one, they never wavered. They come in every day with a positive attitude and ready to work. Are we perfect? Absolutely not. But I promise you this, we come each and every day trying to achieve perfection. And so proud of you guys and the work that you did this past year, and this award is all about you. But not only you, what else makes a facility is laying the foundation for it. And Mr. Mayor, I believe it started with you and your vision of we needed a swimming pool. And council, your vision of a swimming pool and a recreation center and improving the quality of life for our citizens and enterprise. And I can't tell you, I've been a year now as director, but the teamwork that we have in place with our city staff and our department heads is second to none. And this award is a team award. And tonight I want to recognize those people too. So you're not going to like it, but I want you to come down here too for a picture opportunity. But Shannon Roberts, come on down. You were a big part in tearing down the old rec center and making the new one. Alan Mahan with water. I know you were up here looking at the old facility and the new facility. Come on down, Alan. Chief Moore and Chief Davis, what you do on fire safety and keeping our facilities safe. Chief Moore with your officers, y'all come on down. This is a team award. Leanne Swartz, our CFO, it doesn't happen. There's a lot of meetings and crunching numbers, and there was Blake had a big wish list, and Leanne had a big no list, but we made it work in the end. So come on down, Leanne. And Jonathan Tullis, our city administrator, and all his support that he gives us, if you'll come on down. And Jeremy, since you're here with IT, the things that you've done in our facility, I mean, this to me is a total team award. And Tammy and Lily, y'all come down. This is also a house that houses community services, and they're just as much as a part of this and making it important to what they do each and every day from the community services side of things. And I'm probably forgetting somebody, so if I forgot you, come on down. I haven't forgot him. He was my last one. He's the most important one. Best for last. But Barry Mott, our director of engineering, this project really couldn't have done it. I said it started with the mayor when the mayor hired Barry, and Barry can tell this story better than I can. But he told Barry he wanted a swimming pool. And Barry said we can make that happen. But I've grown close to Barry over the past 2 years and building this facility from start to finish, and the hours that Barry put in are, I can't count them up. But Barry was instrumental in this facility and making it happen and working together. And CC and Litchfield Architects, Whaley Construction. Blake Henderson's not here tonight, but from Whaley, but he was a huge part of this. But none of this could happen. What makes Enterprise special? We go to these conferences all the time, and people ask me, what makes Enterprise, what sets you guys apart, what makes you special? It's the people. And right here is the people that make it happen day in and day out. They want to serve. So my challenge for 2026 to my staff was a servant's mentality, right? We're in the business of public service, right? We come in each and every day to be a servant and have that servant's heart and servant's mentality and serve our community. Let me tell you what this facility did. It brought 680 kids to play youth basketball this season, the largest amount that we've ever had in the city of Enterprise. It gave that mother of 4 a chance to see all her kids play at one time because they were all under one roof. It gave that mama and her little kids a place to go this summer and play in the pool and have birthday parties. It gave that person who just came off back surgery a place to come indoors where it's cool and walk around. It gave people a chance to have exercise classes where they didn't have it before. It gave a lady who I've known all my life, who just turned 80, as one of the most frequent visitors to our fitness classes. That's what this facility is about. This facility is about community and building community. And I'm so proud to be part of this team right here that made it happen. And this is the reason that Enterprise Parks and Rec is Facility of the Year.
You preached. Yay.
Yes, congratulations, Blake, on all of the achievements, and the staff as well they're helping with all of that. Now we want to recognize Enterprise Chamber of Commerce Director Aaron Grantham to address the council on obtaining a permit for the world's smallest St. Patrick's Day Parade and half-pint 5K on half-pint 0.5K.
Well, good evening. Congratulations to everybody. That was amazing. I'm so sad to be following that up. But thank you for the opportunity. Just wanted to come before you and publicly ask for street closures for the 33rd Annual World's Smallest St. Patrick's Day Parade downtown Enterprise and the illustrious half-pint 0.5K. It is really hard to say, but it's lots of fun, has been lots of fun for years in Enterprise, and so in the interest of quality of life and community development, this is just another year where we're asking for the same support that we have asked for every year. I've been in contact with Chief Moore and Captain Kent, and there's no changes to what we've done in years past as far as road closures or city services. So the event will be Saturday, March the 14th, downtown. We have requested a rain date of March 21, which we really hope we do not have to use, just in case we do have to move it for any reason. But we're looking forward to a great time and still accepting nominations for a Grand Marshal. So if you'd like to be that, YouTube, please send those in. And unless you have any questions, that is it for me.
You still going to have donuts halfway through?
Yes, sir, 100%. You've got to reload and carb fuel.
Exactly.
All right. Thank you very much.
Yep.
What's the time, Ms. Grantham?
Yeah, what time is it?
I do apologize. So the street closure part of it is about 11-ish. The parade starts at 12, and the 0.5K follows the parade at like 12:05.
Any other questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
As it's been said, this has been being done for many, many years. So do I have a motion?
I move to approve the permit request as submitted.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, is Linda Page with the Oscar Club Day of Service here?
Just see 'em. Good afternoon. I'm Linda Page, and I'm the president of the Enterprise Oscar Club. And for those of you who don't know what that is the former Women of the Year. And these ladies are some of the beautiful women that I serve with. So what I am coming before you to ask is that you will approve our 9th annual day of service. This day of service was put together by a group of women in our club about 9 years ago, because that makes it the 9th annual. But they put it together to bring us together as a community and to do good in our community as well. As a club members, we were nominated by different organizations that for our contributions to the community. And when we get in the club, our club, we weren't doing anything. So we decided that we had not gone into retirement, that we needed to do something. So this day was formed. And I think Charlene Goolsby was probably the spearhead of all that. But anyway, back to what we do. On the day of service, did everybody get, all the council meeting members get? Okay, good. The first flyer that you see, it tells about what we do. It's our club. We embrace, enhance, enterprise. And how do we do that? We do that by cooking a meal for a neighbor, cleaning a yard here and there. We do those kind of things all the time, but not as a group. We thought, this is a time we'll come together and do something larger. And so with this being said, we have done this for 8 years, and we're asking that you approve it again for this year. We've had to include a second day. It's not the day of service, but we're having to utilize the day of the 14th because the 21st actually lands on the first weekend of spring break. So our high school students and some of our junior high, we're not going to be able to participate. But the annual day of service kickoff will still be on the 21st. The 14th, we will have another day, but it is just for the kids to get together, and we're going to be taking them out to work in the, I think it's the west side, the west and northern side of Enterprise. They'll be meeting at the Ray Helms West Side Park at 9 o'clock. But back to the 9th annual day. We're asking that you approve this, and these shirts were not to, we don't believe in bribing, but we believe in encouraging. So we're hoping that you will not only approve this, but you will encourage your constituents to also be a part. There are many different ways that you can participate. And if you could, somehow find your way to be at the kickoff, we would be so honored as well. That is, if you approve it. So I'm asking that you approve the 9th day of service.
All right. Thank you very much. As I believe Parks and Rec still over the Bates Memorial, right? We good with that? All right. So do we have a motion?
I move to approve the permit request as submitted.
Second.
All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Thank
Thank
you.
Thank y'all so much.
I also want to ask if we could get some vests for our people while they're out on the road working, because they're going to be working, picking up litter on those 2 days. So if we could get vests, maybe about 100, to have from the 13th
I'm getting thumbs up back here, so I think
to
you're
the
good.
22nd.
To let us borrow them.
Just let us borrow them. We promise to return them.
All right. Thank you.
Thank
you
you.
for all your hard
Thank-
work trying to make Enterprise great.
Thank you so
Thank you very
much.
All right, now it's time for the privilege of the floor. This is part of the meeting where anyone in attendance who wishes to address the council may do so for 3 minutes. If there's a public hearing on the agenda for the topic you're concerned with, please wait till the public hearing opens to address the council. If they so choose, the staff, mayor, and council will respond to your comments during the appointed times later in the meeting. Repetitive, disruptive, and disparaging comments will not be tolerated. If you're found out of order, your privileges can and will be revoked. Does anyone wish to address the council at this time? All right, seeing none, we'll move into staff reports. Are there any staff that need to give a report tonight? All right. Then we'll move into old business, a review and consider bid recommendation. Introduce and call for consideration of a recommendation from the consulting engineer Glenn Morgan to award the base bid for the installation of an irrigation well at the Enterprise Multipurpose Recreational Complex to Donald Smith Company Incorporated in the amount of $579,378. The bid included 3 alternates for irrigation building options. These alternates included the original design building, alternate 1, a pre-engineered fiberglass building, alternate 2, and a city-provided building, alternate 3. Under this recommendation, the city will provide the irrigation building and the associated building electrical. Do I have a motion?
I move to award the base bid for the installation of an irrigation well at the Enterprise Multipurpose Recreational Complex to Donald Smith Company Incorporated in the amount of $579,378.
Second.
All right, is there any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Introduce and call for consideration of a recommendation from Barry Mott, bid purchasing agent on behalf of Police Chief Michael Moore, to award bid requisition number 2026-01 to Mitchell Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram for the purchase of 8 Dodge Durango Police Pursuit vehicles and 1 Dodge Durango GT Plus in the total amount of $367,160. Other bids received are as follows: Landers McClarty DCJR, $384,600. Do I have a motion?
I move to award the bid requisition number 2026-01 for the purchase of 9 vehicles to Mitchell Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in the total amount of $367,160.
Second?
Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, call for a motion to authorize the mayor to execute task order number 3 to Ardura Incorporated for engineering and technical services associated with the College Street wastewater treatment plant expansion project at a cost not to exceed $350,000. Do I have a motion?
Move to authorize the mayor to execute task order number 3 to Ardura Incorporated at a cost not to exceed $350,000.
Second?
Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, introduce and call for consideration of a request from Blake Moore, Director of Community Services and Recreation, to purchase the following FY26 budgeted equipment from Enterprise Janitorial and Paper through Purchasing Corporation of America at a total cost of $84,919. Is this Cinnabots, I guess? Cinnabots L150 robotic scrubber and dryer, Cinnabots SP50 robotic vacuum and sweeper, Cinnabots 4-in-1 charge workstation L50, and Cinnabots charge station SP50. Do I have a motion?
Move to
Go ahead.
Move to approve the purchase as request as submitted.
Second.
All right, any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Introduce and call for consideration of a request from City Engineer Public Works Director Barry Mott to seek bids for TAP project number TAPUC-TA25-923 for the construction of sidewalks along Bellwood Road and George C. Wallace Drive. Do I have a motion?
Move to approve the request to seek bids as submitted.
Second?
All right, any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, I call for a motion to set a public hearing for March 3rd, 2026 at 6 o'clock p.m. on the matter of issuing a temporary business license for Enterprise Metals and Recycling located at 930 Bellwood Road.
I call for a public hearing to be held on March 3rd, 2026, 6 p.m. on the matter of issuing a temporary business license for Enterprise Metals and Recycling located at 930 Bellwood Road.
Second.
All right, any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Mayor, do you have a report for us?
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to take a moment to speak about something that is on all of our hearts. Our community continues to focus on the search for 2-year-old Genesis Reed. When a child is missing, it touches every family in this city. It reminds us how connected we truly are. I want to recognize the extraordinary efforts of the Enterprise Police Department and the many local, state, and federal partners assisted in this investigation. Our first responders have worked tirelessly and professionally around the clock. They are conducting a careful and thorough investigation with one clear priority: finding answers and bringing this child home. I also want to thank the people of Enterprise. Over the past several days, we have seen compassion, strength, and unity. We have seen neighbors praying together, supporting law enforcement, and offering to help whenever it is needed. That spirit says a great deal about who we are as a community. During these difficult times, it is important that we remain patient and allow investigators the space they need to do their work properly. Accurate information will come through the official channels, and I encourage everyone to rely on those updates. Enterprise is a strong city. We stand together, we care for one another, and we continue to hold on to hope. Let us all pause for a moment as we keep Genesis, her family, and our first responders' thoughts and prayers. Thank you.
Ms. Rich?
Certainly, thank you, Mr. Barnett, for coming and acknowledging your partnership with our police department for our toys and tots. I remember when I first was appointed to the council in 2017, and Mayor Cooper and I had several conversations about our recreation, our parks and recs. And being new to the council, not really paying attention, that's when the media kind of was in the work session area when we met at the City Hall. And I made a statement that we need to have a conversation about the future of our Parks and Recs building. It was embarrassing with the number of people we have coming for tournaments and stuff. That Brown building was like an eyesore, and I went on to say a whole bunch of stuff. And I said, we need to stop saying we're the city of progress if we're going to keep going to that. And they printed it in the paper. That's when I found out, don't do that. But anyway, we started the conversation about our Parks and Recs, traveled to a couple of places, looked at other buildings. And so it's just really feels good when we drive by and see how nice it looks. And we have excellent staff there, and we have an excellent director. So congratulations, Blake, to you and your team. Professional of the year. That's the serious part of that that I'm going to say. So when I looked at my agenda today, you know, the mayor's recognitions are first. You see that Blake was getting this big recognition for professional of the year. That's like really big, right? Then you flip over a couple more pages, and then the brother is asking for like $80,000 for a robotic cleaning machine. But that's the kind of thought-provoking, you know. He's a leader, and he thinks, you know, strategically. This is the perfect meeting to get that on the agenda, because the first part of the meeting is going to be about me and my crew, so they're going to just slide right on in there, Blake. That's how you do. And so, but we appreciate you and all that you do to keep our city in the highlight of things and in the media. So congratulations to you and your team, and thank you, Councilman Padgett, for getting us in a place to have some different types of conversation about our city as far as our technology goes. I'm looking forward to learning a lot as we get some information about how we're going to progress. So let's keep our city in our prayers and our thoughts, and thank everyone for coming out tonight.
Yeah, I'm also looking for that IT. This old man can learn new tricks, especially from these young folks, the IT folks around here. But that's definitely a conversation we need. Mr. Barnett, I'm an Army guy, not a Marine, but Semper Fi. Thank you for all you've done. I've worked with you a few times, and Toys for Tots is awesome. I've seen some families that got those toys. We thank our team here, and Blake, your folks are so wonderful. And I got to comment, it's not just a team, it's a family. And you see this family, and this was just one part of the family of Enterprise with all our workers. I look in the back row back there, and I talk about some menacing folks, back there, sitting in there looking at us. But that's all the other team, but not just team, family. And when I look over here on this side, and for the last 2 days, I've saw that family out looking for that beautiful young child. And I was just blessed for the last 2 days to be with my community emergency response team, the Coffee County team. I just had to put the word out on our little telegram thing, and I had probably 20, 30 volunteers just, hey, I can be there, I can be there, I can be there, I can be there. But to see the professionalism that was there for the last 2 days from all our police department. And when I showed up yesterday, the fire department's out running through the trees out there. But marshals, SBI, FBI, sheriffs, everyone, I know I'm going to leave somebody out. But it was just my chest was pumping hard out there as I walked through the woods with my team out there looking for that young lady. And we're still available if need be. But that's the family. They come together from around. And I'm just proud as a Peacock to be part of that team, that family. And God bless every one of you. Thank you.
Yeah, same thing everyone else has already said. I do work in technology. I get a little passionate sometimes when I speak about it, but I'm thankful for Blake, what you've done. I like the request. So if you need more technology, go get another award and we'll approve it, man. We'll do it. But using technology to help do the things that maybe other people don't want to do, or allow those people that were doing those jobs to elevate themselves into something else in the city and fill other roles that they'd rather do. So thank you for looking into innovation and ways of using technology. Mentioned before, I was in a water board meeting and heard about our Allen and their group using iPads and starting with digital work orders. I'm thankful for that. That's a big shift. To go from doing everything this way, and it's worked, and why change? But to step out of that and say, maybe we can do a little better, if it's 10% better or 15%, whatever it is, by using technology. So, Alan, I'm thankful for you and your team stepping out and finding ways to use technology to make our city more efficient and better. So I know that sometimes has growing pains, and sometimes, I'm 47, so in the IT world, I'm ancient. You gotta keep pushing yourself forward and looking for those ways. Congratulations, Blake. I wanted to call you out, and if we had another hour, I would come ask you to speak a little bit more, but we don't, so I won't. But congratulations specifically to you. I know you thanked your team, but for that award and being recognized as the professional of the year in recreation. I'm glad they added in recreation because I think Greg won it in just general professional of the year. So, all right, I did want to mention too as well about Miss Reed. So, just like everybody's already said, and the mayor beautifully put, and our hearts do go out for this young child that's missing, and it's a reminder we live in a fallen world and we need Jesus, and so be praying and praying that anybody that's in a valley of decision right now makes the right decision, and pray for this child's safe return.
Thank all my colleagues for their comments tonight. Most of it's pretty much been said, but I will at least reiterate once again the congratulations to Blake and your team, and thank you for coming with Toys for Tots and also the Oscar Club for all that you do. and definitely have Ms. Reed in our thoughts. It's been a continual conversation around my home about that. So hope and pray that those that are out there doing the investigation can get the answers. And it's quite a shock for our community right now, and not something, thankfully, that we deal with very often. And definitely hope and pray for a good resolution to this situation. And with that said, we are adjourned until our council meeting of March 3rd, 5 p.m.